I used to love when Granny's house was in sight and we would be watching for the little driveway. Granny had a sand yard and it was always neat and well raked. And when the sand would get low, Granddaddy would get a load of sand from coastal Florida, from Pensacola, and he would go and get it in Pensacola and drive it up to Cuthbert. And he would spread it in the yard, and it was white and beautiful. It looked really nice. Granny had little flower gardens surrounded by bricks, and she always had petunias and several other kinds of flowers that I didn't know the names of, but they were beautiful. Granny had a very green thumb. She was always able to grow wonderful plants. She always had hen and biddies. And the hen and biddies she had was the kind of whitish purple kind. I loved those, and their rubbery leaves just fascinated me. So Granny's yard, the front of the house had the sand, well, it had sand all the way around. In the back, there was a chicken coop with some chickens. At this time, Granddaddy didn't keep any hogs. He used to keep hogs, and he used to have a mule for plowing, but this was in his 70s, so he already had heart failure by that time. So he had a few chickens and had a big garden, and there was a little root cellar. It was a hole in the ground, big hole in the ground, with a piece of tin, like the tin on their roof, and that covered up the potatoes. So after he dug the potatoes, he would put them in the root cellar, and then they would stay fresh for a really, really long time. So whenever Granny needed potatoes, he would go out and get the potatoes for her. And there was the railroad tracks. And sometimes the train would come, and I would go running out the back door, and I would stand there and wait until the train passed. And at the end, there used to be a caboose, and you could wave at the brakeman in the caboose. So I loved to do that. And Granny always had stray cats around, but they were wild. They were feral. So I would try to pick them up, and I would get scratched. So that was and of course, the chickens didn't want to be touched, so I didn't get to touch them. But I enjoyed our visits to Granny very, very much. And I used to love just being around, and especially being around my grandparents. They were loving people, and I really enjoyed visiting with them. So that's one of my memories.